One day, 10 years ago, Disney had a wish, a dream, a vision, an idea. One guy came up to the head of Disney and said, "Hey, I have this great idea. What if we turn these animated movies into live-action movies?" Somebody bought it, and now Disney is owning the box office by turning their animated films into live-action masterpieces? On today's episode of Apple Box Podcast, we are going to talk about Disney's latest film, Aladdin, and how that did, not just at the box office, but how it did financially, critically, emotionally, physically. I don't know what that means, but we're going to talk about it all today, guys. The ways that Disney is bringing their old classics to you. Do you like them? Are you a fan? Well, today I'm here to share my opinion with you, so stick around because we're going to get right into it right now. Welcome back, guys, to another exciting episode of ABP. I'm your host, Branden Sigg. Good show for you today. We will be getting into our first game, which is kind of how we break down our new movie reviews. And for that, we'll be bringing in guest host Branden Sigg to play that later in the episode. Stick around, though, everyone, because first I'm going to get into the spoiler-free review for those that have not seen Aladdin yet. And for those that have seen it, stick around for that second half because I'll be getting into more of the details. And then Branden will come in and we'll play a little game called Wishes. But before I begin, because I'm already feeling a little parched, to kick off the summer movie season, or just summer in general, we're drinking Mike's Hard Watermelon Lemonade today. Because in classic summer fashion, ooh, it's nice, guys. In classic summer fashion, we have to drink lemonade in the summertime. It just whets the appetite. You're going to get that nice little swallow ready. Here we go. Whoa. You guys hear that? That's not even coming from the bottle. That's coming from my mouth, I think. First, this is just absolutely bonkers crazy. This is not just the first. Okay, Disney has, over the many years, been making their animated properties and turning them into live-action films. But this is going to be the second of 3 that Disney is releasing. Actually, of 4! Oh my god! Disney is releasing 4 animated to live-action film projects this year, okay? The first being Dumbo, which did not turn out so great for them. Second being Aladdin. Third being Maleficent, Mistress of Evil. And then, of course, the cream de la crop, the big one, The Lion King, which comes out in 2 months. And that, of course, is going to shatter all box office expectations. And rightfully so, because it is The Lion King. But now, where do we draw the line here? Before I just have to say this real quick, before I get into this spoiler-free review of Aladdin, where do we draw the line? Somebody the other day was saying, is Disney just making animated films just to turn them into live-action properties later? And what an interesting idea. Because I think it's actually headed that way. Somebody was saying, well, in a couple years, we'll be seeing a live-action Frozen. And it's true. It's crazy. Think about it. Disney is making live-action movies just to turn them in, or making animated movies just to turn them into live-action. What? You're going to be paying for the same movie twice. What? And people are going to do it. But eventually it has to get to that point, right? Because doesn't everybody want to see a Frozen live-action? I don't know, guys. I don't know where we draw the line. But focusing on today, Aladdin, initial thoughts. Overall, I was pleasantly surprised by this movie. I went into this, actually, this was one of the only summer films that I was actually kind of looking forward to. And I was trying to stay away from trailers because I really was a big fan of the classic animated film from, oh my God, was it 94? Jesus, that was when I was born. Oh my God. But yeah, I grew up with Aladdin. It was one of my favorites. I was super excited for the live action, kind of hesitant on, Will Smith as the genie, as I think most people were. Surprisingly, because everybody was saying, how can you possibly top Robin Williams? I don't think he topped him at all, but he made it his own thing. And he was actually one of the best parts of the film. Absolutely mind-blowing crazy, because here we were thinking that this could have been a gigantic disaster, trying to replicate what the classic and the original Robin Williams did all those years ago. But no, freaking Will Smith came in and said, no, this is my genie. I'm going to do him my way while still maintaining the classic that you know and love. And oh my gosh, did it work? I was shocked. Everything about his version of the genie was great. And I'm not even a huge Will Smith fan. And I'm like, wow, this is really good. What's Will Smith's next movie? Like, I was in. The other guys, Aladdin was okay. But, oh my God, why am I blanking on her name? Naomi Scott, yes, who plays Jasmine. She was great. She had some singing in that. That was all great. It all felt very magical. I hadn't seen the animated in so long, and watching this, I remembered classic lines and moments, like with the Boo and the red ruby in his eyes, and like they were really pulling certain moments to get the fans like, remember this, guys? Remember when you liked this? And at the same time, they made it their own thing. So for all of those reasons, I really do think it was actually a good experience at the end of the day. Best movie I've ever seen? No. Is it going to be the best of the summer? Probably not. Is it worth a ticket to go and check it out in the theater? Absolutely. So I highly recommend you go check it out. I will get to my score near the end of the episode once we discuss everything, but just know up front that I do actually recommend you to go see this in theaters because it actually exceeded what people thought it was going to do. Critically, I mean, fans love it. Critically, it's a 57 on Rotten Tomatoes, but it has a 94 on the audience score. So audiences actually really love this film. Not only that, it actually exceeded box office expectations, 112 million opening weekend, one of the biggest Memorial Day openings of all time. How? Nobody thought this was ever possible for a movie like this. Turns out, people actually wanted to see Aladdin. Was it Will Smith? Was it the genie? Was it people wanting to see if they were going to mess things up? Could have been all of the above. Who knows? Or was it the classic story that people knew and loved come to life? I think it was that. And they did it, guys. They did it. So go and check it out. Now we're going to go into the spoiler territory. That sounded interesting. Excuse me. And spoiler-wise, guys, I'm just going to say right off the bat, everybody dies at the end of this movie. Ursula makes an appearance. What do you guys think about that? No, I'm just kidding. For those that haven't seen it and are still listening, you're probably like, what the hell? But no, spoiler-wise, this movie was, like I said, it was good on a lot of levels. It was creative in the sense that they took some creative liberties to make it unique from the original. They had some opportunities with some new songs. They brought some new guys in. One of the writers from La La Land, Benji Pasek, to write a new song for Princess Jasmine, which ultimately I think worked. But they found some opportunities in a couple story beats here and there to make it fresh. Overall, it's the same story that everybody knows. You know, Aladdin, he's this guy living in Agrabah, and he's living in the streets, and he wants a chance to be with the princess, but he knows that as this street rat, he's never going to be able to get with the princess until evil Jafar, the king's or the sultan's vizier, comes along, and he's like, Aladdin, I have this chance for you to get to this lamp, and this lamp is going to get you with this princess. And he's like, okay, sign me up. And he meets the genie, and Jafar screws him over, and he becomes, Prince Ali, and then he tries to impress the princess, and shit goes down. Jafar tries to take over, and of course, everybody ends up happily ever after, because this is Disney at the end of the day. So it completely keeps the story true, with just a few variances. And I think those variances were good. There were some interesting, kind of weird ones. I didn't mind the fact that Princess Jasmine had a handmaiden, Dahlia, with her. And we'll kind of get into more on that in our little game here soon. But I think that was a welcome addition. Prince Anders, Billy Magnuson came in to play this prince, kind of a goofy guy. Also, an okay addition. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. It was fine. What about direction? People were talking. Guy Ritchie What does a Guy Ritchie directed Aladdin look like? Let me tell you. Guy Ritchie directed Aladdin. People were thinking, was this going to look like, Sherlock Holmes? Is it going to be gritty? Also, if it's Guy Ritchie, how in the hell is people going to be singing? Which is true. You get a director like Guy Ritchie who directs hardcore action shit, come direct a musical? He did it, though. Overall, he did it. I think he did fine. There's nothing that really has his personal stamp on this, which is kind of weird. If you were to put a list of directors on the side of this project and say, which director directed this, it's so Disneyfied that I actually probably couldn't tell. It doesn't have a signature Guy Ritchie flair to it, and usually his films are gritty in nature and in tone. And this didn't feel like that. It just felt like a Disney, I don't know, Disney come to life, Nothing that said, this is Guy's work. It's just some guy, not Guy himself, Visually, it was good. The effects were good. Disney's really getting to the cream of the crop here. It's just, it's weird because, like I said earlier, where do you draw the line here? The Lion King, when that comes out, we're going to really talk about that and how they pulled that shit off. But that technically can't even be referred to as live action because it's not. There's no human element in the actual film, which makes it not actually live action. It's a virtual environment, like a video game, It is animation. So in that sense, like, The Lion King looks really good. Aladdin, it looked good. It, visually it was great. The effects were fine. It was just good, It's one of those slick-looking blockbusters that just is fine. There wasn't anything terrible about cinematography or anything. It was just fine. Acting-wise, it's sad to say, like I said, I think I was impressed with Will Smith as the genie overall, and I think Naomi Scott did actually really quite well with what she was given for Princess Jasmine. And the other small roles were fine. Jafar, I don't know about Jafar. He did with what he had. I think he was fine. He didn't seem as evil. Maybe that was just in the dialogue he was given. Maybe, I don't know. He didn't seem as commanding and as, like, he was this terrible Disney villain. There were spin-offs of Jafar that Disney had created back in the day where he was the leader of the villains. And this guy just, he was just there. I don't know. I don't know if it was the acting or if it was, maybe it was the acting and he was one of my least favorite parts of the film, actually, was Jafar, which is sad because I think Jafar is a really good, well-developed villain overall. And he knows what he wants. And this guy was just, I wasn't like, go bad, Like, sometimes you just want to root for the bad guys, but this time it was just like, this guy's, no. Honestly, acting-wise, I think Aladdin was the weakest link, sadly. He is the weakest link, which is sad because the movie is called Aladdin. At the end of the day, it's about him. But I think Mina Masood, who did Aladdin, he did his best. But I think the problem was, as somebody on IMDb pointed out, he couldn't decide whether or not he wanted to, imitate the cartoonish version of the Aladdin character that we know, or whether he wanted to put his own spin on it. So instead of doing one or the other, he tried to do both. And it didn't mesh as well as it could have in parts. So overall, he did fine. And, he's good at singing. But at the end of the day, did it work overall? Sure. But, I don't know. Maybe direction-wise, he could have been focused more into the world of realism as opposed to the world of animation. Of course, Alan Menken came back to do some music, which is classic, great. It's always great. They put some more upbeat spins on some of the songs, and we'll get into that a little bit more with our game. I just want to make a couple brief notes before we bring Branden into the writing. It's hard to evaluate something like this writing-wise when, you have two new writers on it. But, of course, it's a project that was written many years ago, so it's an adaptation of something, and there's a lot of similar lines. Like, I heard a line, that a character would say, and I'm like, oh my god, I remember that in the animation one! Like, I remember my childhood. And then it's just like, it's one of those things where I just feel like you take the script from the old one and you're just like adding some new stuff. Like, how new really is it? So with that being said, like I said, there are some new additions, but overall, it didn't feel clunky. I think everything meshed. The pacing felt fine overall. I really actually started dropping out. I was in the whole way from the beginning up through the Cave of Wonders. After Aladdin makes a fool of himself in front of the Sultan and Jasmine as Prince Ababwa, it's after that I started to lose my way a little bit with it. And there was just some beats in there that just kind of felt weird. And I know that Jasmine is not supposed to know that Ababwa and Aladdin are the same person, but it feels weird in live action that she's like supposed to be falling for this guy, and she does fall for him on this magic carpet, and then like it's not until after the carpet that she realizes who he actually is. So it's like, does she like two guys at the same time? But she really doesn't, because she knows it's him, but she didn't until after this romantic escapade on the carpet. It all feels very weird. And then, because it's live action, Disney changed some Act 3 parameters with how the big final battle goes down. It all feels very confined to one room. Like the last 15 minutes, that's like takes place like an all-in-one throne room, I feel like. Whereas in the animated version, it took place over the course of like several nights or something. And it just feels very like it's like too much. It's like too confined for the space that they're in. There's like these guards, and there's the Sultan and Jasmine, and then she like sings, and then she like leaves, and then she comes back, and then Aladdin gets banished, but then all of a sudden he's back, and Jafar like changes outfits twice, but it's not like mega change like in the animated version. I don't know. And then it's just like it's over. So it like mid Act 2 to Act 3, I kind of started dropping out. I don't know. I think it's translation, animation to live action. That's part of it. But overall, I was still thoroughly entertained with it. How can you not with a story like this, characters like this, music like this, classic Disney? Damn you, Disney, for doing what you do and for taking everyone's money. Damn you to Disney hell. Okay. So like I said, I will get into the score once we have completed our game. But for now, we are going to play Wishes. And I would like to bring to Applebox Podcast, please give a big round of applause for Mr. Branden Sigg. Yes.
Hey, hello. Thanks for having me on as a co-host or as a co-guest or as a guest. How does it work? Where am I?
Guest host. It's the show you know and love with the people you know and love.
Wow. Feels so special.
So today, Branden is here to play with us a game called Wishes. So Wishes works like this: when a studio makes a film, they have a lot of wishes, ideas, things that they hope actually pan out. Wishes with the film, is it going to be successful? Is it not? Every time you make a scene or a moment, your hope as a studio is that it's going to pay off. So Disney had a lot of wishes and hopes with this new Aladdin film. So today, we have selected 10 classic moments and scenes from Aladdin, and we're going to analyze whether or not, ultimately, they worked, whether they were successful or whether they were not. Did their wishes pan out or not? So, was it a good wish or a bad wish? We'll have our own opinion.
What happens if it's a bad wish?
If it's a bad wish, it gets damned to the dark lamp and thrown into the Cave of Wonders.
Do we drink a beer? Let me just say one thing. I heard you talking about Aladdin and that end scene. Okay. Mm-hmm. As a VFX artist, I was very disappointed, but I think it just came down to budgets, really. In the original, you remember Jafar turned into a giant snake, and they also got tossed into like this giant time thing,
hourglass.
An hourglass. That didn't happen. And I think it was mostly because of budgets.
That's a great point.
I think that would have been like such a better thing.
You're right. This budget was under $200 million. And for a project like this, that's actually surprising because some of Disney's films like this are $300 to $350 million. So
that's insane.
That's a good point.
Yeah. All the budget was spent on that You Never Had a Friend Like Me song.
Ooh, let's talk.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Okay, guys, so here it is. Some of the Disney's 10 biggest wishes for this Aladdin. Did they pay off? Did they not? Here's our thoughts. Number 1. The genie at the beginning of the film is telling the entire story to his kids and wife on a boat. So because of this, Genie has a new love arc where he has a wife and a family, and that's how the film kicks off. It's not until the end of the film that we're reminded, holy shit, this is a story that's being told to us by this freed genie. Does it work? Good wish? Bad wish?
I think it's a great wish. I thought that worked. I thought that was so original, and just like the writers really thought so out of the box on this one. I was trying to remember the cartoon as I was watching the beginning. I'm like, did it start like this? I don't think it did. And then it came full circle at the end. I'm like, wow, that's a good little end there for the genie, for his arc.
No, I agree. I think that is a good wish. I'm surprised. When it first started, I was like, no, this is dumb.
Yeah.
And then at the end, when it tied it all together, and like at the beginning, we actually did see Dahlia there, and I didn't even notice until the end. And I'm like, holy shit, this actually works. And it gave him an arc that was true to who he was as a character. And I actually really appreciated that.
Yeah, same. It's a great wish.
Yes. Number 2, Will Smith singing and performance. Now,
Which one?
let's do singing first.
For all of his songs?
All of his songs. How was his singing? Because normally he's known as a rapper. So he starts it off with Arabian Nights, and then his final song is with DJ Khaled.
That's for the credits, though. That's not anywhere in the movie, thank God.
No, thank God.
The Arabian Nights song, I was like, oh, great. Will Smith singing Arabian Nights. I mean, it worked, but at the same time, I wasn't like excited for it, which is weird because as soon as we go to Never Had a Friend Like Me, I was smiling. My smile was to my eyes. Like I had a full on Grinch smile because it's just like the effects and everything were so great in that song. It worked so excellently, and also Prince Ali was a great song as well. I didn't have a problem with that one. I think it was just because it started off so weird. That's why I had a problem with Arabian Nights, like the first song ever, because it started so weird. I'm like, I don't remember it starting like this, but I mean, it was all right.
So good wish or bad wish? I'm going to go ahead and say it was actually a good wish.
It's a good wish.
Because they actually hired somebody that is into music.
Right. Well, rapping.
Right, but he still knows music, and he knew it well enough, and it was fresh enough and good enough that I think he was able to actually pull it off, and I believed him as a singer. Sometimes these studios hire people that aren't singers to sing, and I think this actually worked. Performance-wise, good wish. I was shocked.
Yeah. You mean like as his acting? Or Yeah, no.
As the genie.
Oh, yeah, no, he brought his own little fresh spin. There were parts when he would, go into that kind of lisp accent, which is funny. And yeah, no, I thought he brought his own original spin to it. He definitely didn't take anything from Robin Williams. He kind of made it his own thing, and I think it worked out great.
No, I agree. Yeah, for sure. I will say I don't necessarily agree with that ending the movie with DJ Khaled.
Yeah. You just freaking in the movie, we're spending all this time in like Aladdin world, like Arabia, I guess, and then like it's just like DJ Khaled. Okay.
It's like this was good up until this point. Anyway,
it's like if you heard "Get Low" or like Little John. Okay. It's like what?
It's the same thing.
Why?
Yeah. Okay. Number 3. Aladdin and Jasmine's meet cute in the marketplace. When they first run into each other and meet each other, Jasmine is pretending to be this, innocent, hood rat, just kind of like Aladdin. And they meet each other, and he introduces her to his place, and Abu takes her bracelet. That whole sequence where they meet each other, they call it a meet cute when the romantic leads meet each other. In this live-action retelling, did that entire sequence work for you?
For me, no. And I think it was honestly just because, oh God. It was because, sorry, here I am, guest hosting, and my phone rings. No, I think it was just because we didn't really spend that much time on their faces, especially because they were running away. Now, when you draw, keep in mind the animated one was hand drawn. Mm-hmm. So when you draw, you can definitely make sure it stays on the face longer while they're running through the city and climbing and everything. And I felt like in the cartoon you saw more expression, whereas this was just all motion blurred because it's live action. And I definitely feel like it could have been better, especially when they first met. Everything was so quick in the beginning. I didn't really have a chance to, okay, these are now lovers, but it was just more action-y than it was, emotion and connecting, which I guess is okay because we've already seen the cartoon. So, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right about. I think they could have played up more their initial there's a moment when two characters first see each other for the first time, and they're like, it's like that gaze, and it's like, wow, like you're the one. And I think they could have played that up more. But overall, I'm gonna actually disagree with you, and this is why I love movies, because they can be so differential for different people. I was hooked at the beginning, actually. I'm gonna give it a good wish, actually, because the entire beginning with Aladdin singing one jump in front of the other, you don't even know what they're saying half the words. I don't even think the cast knows what they're saying. But the song, it was just so wow, I was being brought back to my childhood with that whole sequence. And then he takes her up to his little house and her bracelet, and it just felt new. I didn't remember part of that in the original, and maybe it was in the original, but it just felt good. So I actually didn't mind it.
Yeah, bad wish for me. Didn't work out, except when they were in his house. In quotation mark, his house. His
house. I think that was clever when they pulled the sheet up.
Yeah.
Okay, number 4, which we already kind of talked about. Aladdin makes his way into the Cave of Wonders for the genius Friend Like Me sequence. That entire sequence is one of the classic Disney moments ever. You never had a friend like me. Robin Williams did his own thing. And I think we kind of already hinted, did it work?
Yeah, it did. I wasn't really invested in this movie yet. Keep in mind, I was thinking, why aren't we spending all this time on these people's faces? What's going on? And then here we have this Never Had a Friend Like Me song by Will Smith, and I just fell in love. All the visual effects, the dancing, the choreography of it, just everything matched so well. I was grinning from cheek to cheek. I was just so impressed at everything going on in this song, and it just made me hooked at that point.
Okay.
Going forward, it pulled me in, so definitely good wish there.
Well, I'll tell you what's interesting is that they changed some of the lyrics to match the modern times and to match Will Smith, and they put a different kind of beat to it because Robin Williams, he was impersonating different celebrities in that, so they had to make it a little more unique and flavorful for Will Smith. And they did that, and you're right. I was smiling. I was like, okay, and some of the things he was doing, I was into it. I was shocked. Definitely good wish. Probably one of the better moments in Disney live action. So
yeah, no, definitely, yeah, for sure. Good wish.
Good wish. Number 5, Aladdin becomes Prince Ababwa, and that whole sequence when Will Smith leads them through the city. And Aladdin just acting like a fool. He was classic in the cartoon, but did it work in live action?
No.
Bad wish?
I would say bad wish.
Overall, it was enjoyable.
Yeah. I think it's honestly just because we didn't really see much of the crowd. Everything is so quick in this movie in the beginning. There's a lot of motion blur. It's kind of hard. Maybe that's why the song and the Never Had a Friend Like Me felt so genius, because it's all CG. So we don't have to really worry about motion blur or anything like that. That's all controlled on a computer. But this song, it's also focused a lot on the genie in that song and not really on Aladdin's perspective of being back in the city, but as a prince, which in itself is super weird because he was just living on the streets. And I'm sure all his street friends knew he was a fucking bum. Again, he has the persona of a prince now, so maybe not. But at the same time, it didn't feel that way. Jasmine, from the very beginning, looked like she knew him from the get-go. It didn't have that, oh, I don't know him.
Right.
So it always felt like she knew. I know.
I know what you mean. And I think that was this is kind of where I started dropping out, actually, and I think it was because of the rules weren't clear.
Yeah.
How much does she know? Does she know that Aladdin is who he is? Like, did the wish wipe that away, her memory away? And the other big problem I have is he's from Ababwa, but nobody can find it on a map. It's like, that feels like that should be part of the wish. Is like, if he's a prince of a country, like, the least you can do is add that country to a map. Like, that feels like if you're going to make somebody a prince, it's more than just changing their costume, their outfit.
Right.
So, I don't know. It was a rules thing, I think.
It's like when Jafar asks to be a sorcerer, the genie just doesn't give him a sorcerer stick. He gives him all the powers to be a sorcerer.
Right, exactly. Okay, here's an interesting one. The animals. So we have a couple variations in the animals here. We got Iago, Abu, and Raja. It's always tricky translating animals that talk and animals that don't talk to live action. Abu never really talked. Well, he kind of did.
He never talked in the animation.
No, but he kind of like, I don't know.
True.
And then Raja, so Iago for me in this worked because he was a parrot that kind of mimicked back dialogue. He wasn't annoying like Gilbert Gottfried was in the original. I mean, Iago was a character, I know, but to me, he worked in this. Raja is an interesting case because humans walking around with a giant-ass tiger just doesn't make sense.
Okay, tell the writers of Walking Dead that.
Yeah, but that tiger is chained.
Okay. Well, this one is... Indian people can literally put king cobra snakes to sleep with their fucking flutes. They can tame a tiger.
I love it. I love that Raja's walking around licking Aladdin's face.
She's not very animated like she is in the cartoon, and I think that just comes down to realism, which makes me worried for Lion King, because that's all it is.
Right. But that's just it, isn't it? It's, you want to make it realistic, but at the same time, how can lions dance around and sing and be happy looking?
They can't.
Lion King could be a flop.
I mean, it could be. They're not taking any... It's like... Okay, so it's pretty much like any animation. Like Pixar's Finding Nemo. Like, they did like tons of research, like literally like a year worth of research just on how fish move through the water. And they use that research to hand animate frame by frame how the fishes move, and it looks super good and super real. With this, they have to literally study how lions move, how everything moves in order to get it right, because they're not using anything. We're getting off subject here,
but don't you think that's part of the problem? Is because they're making it so realistic, it's not going to have that.
It's not going to have the human oomph that cartoonish oomph, like facial oomph that it would need to get the emotion through. Just like Raja, whatever her name is. The only thing that I liked was when she licked Aladdin's face. Mm-hmm. That's the only part. Otherwise, she's just a fucking rude-ass lion, because lions always look like they're going to fucking kill you.
There's a tiger.
Whatever.
Overall, I think the animals actually work, so I'm going to say good wish.
Good wish, because 2 of the 3 worked.
Who didn't?
Raja.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah, Abu worked. He wasn't as cool, but he worked. Cool. Okay. We got to talk about that crazy dance sequence inside the palace, where Aladdin starts like doing like a step up type dance.
Waste of time.
The genie's like controlling him. It's fun, but at the same time, it feels like not that century.
It's like Bruce Almighty. Or is it Bruce Almighty? Yeah. When he's like, and he's like in the corner. Yeah. It's exactly that. But Will Smith and Aladdin.
I mean, it was cool
waste of time
that they were dancing together, and then it just turned into this like step up performance.
Yeah, like, is this step up? I don't know.
We needed the DJ Khaled to come in there. Yeah. DJ Khaled, and he'd be like,
I would have literally stabbed my eyeballs.
Anyway, bad wish. Big one. This is what I was looking forward to, because one of my favorite Disney songs is A Whole New World. The sequence when Jasmine comes up on the carpet and they take off across the desert, flying high, singing emotions. Did that work? I'm gonna say
yes,
but no. It wasn't as powerful and emotional as I wanted it to be. I think it was because they did a lot of focus on the sweeping landscapes as opposed to them being close together as a couple.
Yeah.
But, it worked. What I don't like about the scene, as I've kind of already pointed out earlier, is that Jasmine, falls in love with this guy, and it's not until afterwards that she finds out he's actually Aladdin. I don't like that.
But it seems like she knew. No, the whole time.
She might.
She's scheming the whole time, so it seems like she knows, but she doesn't.
Right, and it's because of what is it? There's something that he says that makes her realize. Maybe she doesn't, but it doesn't seem like she knows the whole time. That's where there's a gray area. Does she know? Doesn't she know? I don't even remember in the cartoon.
I honestly couldn't tell you. I don't remember anything from that cartoon.
I don't know. But anyway, that is what it is.
But also, I feel the same way. It should have, like I said, it's real time, it's real captured. So it's like we're all defined by a camera here. And nothing is really spent close up. It's all moving. So there's a lot of motion blur. There's not a lot of time focus on close-ups. It's all far shots of the city landscape, desert landscape. Nothing is... There's not like a camera that's attached to them while they're flying through the air. It's all CG stuff.
Right. Okay. Number 9. Princess Jasmine's new song, Speechless. So she's taken out of the room when Jafar becomes the new sultan, and then she just breaks out into this new song. I mean, as an actress, she really got into it. And the song itself was very empowering, especially for the time. It feels like a very good Me Too song, for sure. Because it transcends the movie. Was it welcome to the film? Actually, I think so. I think it was a good wish.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely a good wish, good original sound track going in there. I would say that it's kind of weird that she started singing and then walked backwards and everybody started dissolving. And I'm like, what is this? Avengers Endgame? I don't think so.
What part are you talking about?
What do you mean? When she's singing and then she's passing all these people and they dissolve. What is this?
I don't know.
Infinity War? Is everybody dissolving into ash?
Maybe.
What is happening?
It's a Easter egg.
It's in her imagination, and then she goes back and talks to this guard that he's good, actually.
Oh yeah, even the guard gets a character arc, which is great in a movie like this. That everybody has their own arc. That is so great to see. That's John August for you, one of the screenwriters. He's got a screenwriting blog. He's pretty good. Okay, number 10. The last one, guys.
Last one of the best and good wish. Good and bad wish.
We've been drinking throughout for our bad wishes, by the way.
Cards.
Yeah, I was say Branden finished his... That's how many bad wishes he had. He finished an entire bottle already.
Actually, I just like to drink. I'm an alcoholic.
Drink up, me hearties. For silver number 10, we have to talk. Was the finale changes good or bad? As Branden, you already started talking about with Jafar not becoming the big red genie with the snake that he was at the end, of the animated. They got rid of the Jasmine red outfit, which was actually it was a deliberate choice to not have Jasmine belly show at all, which was actually smart, probably.
Yeah.
But that whole sequence with Jafar and the hourglass and the snake and the red genie. And then Iago in this one becomes big, and he chases Jasmine and Aladdin through the town while they're flying on the carpet. That entire sequence is different than the animation. Did it work ultimately? Actually, I'm going to say bad wish on this one. I was not a fan of Act 3 that much. It just felt rushed. And like I said, it felt like they did fly around the city. And I know I said it felt confined, but it did feel confined. They felt very trapped to that one room. Like they kept going in and out of that room, the throne room where Jafar was sitting. And I don't know. I guess he just didn't become that evil genie that I wanted him to see him become.
Yeah, his villainous was pretty weak in this movie, and I think you said this earlier. I was agreeing that he didn't feel evil, and I think that's just because in the cartoon we had him laughing menacingly with the shadows on the background, and we actually saw. I mean, the only thing that we truly saw of his evilness was didn't he kill or he kicked someone down a hole? He Sparta kicked someone down a well in the beginning, something like that.
Well, he leaves the guy trapped in the Cave of Wonders.
No, there's his best friend or like his like.
Oh, in the beginning of this movie,
he failed me for the first time. He kicks him down the hole.
He killed him in the beginning of this.
That's like the first and only time that's ever like him truly being evil. Like nothing else showed it, and especially the end, because it's just like they obviously ran out of budget. They ran out of money. They could have made him that'd be so dope. A nice snake with those visual effects from Disney and the hourglass would have been nice. But you win some, you lose some.
You do. So at the end of the day, we have to evaluate what did we have more of, good wishes or bad wishes. At the end of the day, we actually did have more good wishes. So does that mean Disney had a success on their hands? Well, if you ask fans, they're going to say yes. If you ask the box office, they're going to say yes. What did we think? Well, if we pull open our Box of Apples review system, I'm going to give it a crisp 4 out of 5.
I was thinking that as well, crisp, yeah, for sure.
For sure, guys. It's worth your time. Go check it out. It's a fun little family adventure. Fun for the whole family, as they say. I don't know if people still say that or not, but it is fun. There's a lot of offerings coming out the coming weeks. Rocket Man, I wouldn't recommend that one for your children. There's some intense sex scenes and drugs. Godzilla, use that sparingly, and then of course Dark Phoenix will come out in a couple weeks. So stay tuned, movie fans, because there are a lot of things to talk about. Of course, we thank Branden for joining us for our game.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was fun watching Aladdin with you and also being here to break down the wishes of Disney.
Do you have a wish for the movie season?
Do I have a wish? I mean, I wish for just an awesome summer movie experience, especially not just like summer, but like also going into winter. Let's have some good movies, Rocket Man, I'm excited. I'm excited for a lot. Star Wars.
I wish that J.J. Abrams doesn't mess it up.
I wish that, he's going to have to redo everything that Rian Johnson fucked up, which is pretty much everything. Also, let's just talk about, or let's not talk about, let's just mention. I forgot what I was going to say. Fuck.
What? You can't do that. If you guys haven't checked out Vanity Fair's new Rise of Skywalker coverage, lots of new photos from the new movie. Check that out because, there's some good ones. But you really don't know what you were going to say?
I can't remember.
Oh, my God. Well, guys, maybe Branden will remember next time. Stay tuned all summer long on ABP as we'll be giving out new, fresh movie reviews, and I will be also providing additional commentary on industry trends and crazy things going on. You can check out next week's new episode for that. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is Brian signing off, and I will see you next time only on ABP.